One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Judy Sackfield. Judy is currently the Deputy Athletics Director for Student Success and Senior Woman Administrator at Texas A&M University Commerce. Greetings, Judy. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, Judy, you've been involved with college athletics for almost 40 years, and that was as a student athlete. You coached for a long time, and that includes 27 years in college administration, with 10 being there at A&M Commerce. Your stability there has proven beneficial to the school. You were named interim athletics director twice. One time it was for almost 8 months. You hold or held a variety of influential positions during your tenure at the school. How do you remain focused amid changes in leadership, the celebrations that come with working athletics, the challenges that come with working in athletics? How do you remain focused throughout your time there at A&M Commerce?
Yeah, I started out, I had a good ground working in Division I at UAB when I was there, because I had to remain focused over there quite a bit with what I was doing. But I think the ground was laid initially there. And then when I got here, and as you mentioned, I've been at places a long time. I'm a pretty loyal person to what I do and the structure and my goals and what I want to do with my life. So when there were some changes that were going on with leadership here, the respect I have for the athletic directors that were here, and they taught me quite a bit, it just led me into a path of being able to, make decisions, ask a lot of questions, make sure I knew what the expectations were right away, to be a bit of a chameleon in a way. I mean, you have to change because clearly if there is change, then there's a reason for that sometimes, or there's a reason because someone's moving up into another opportunity. So in both instances, it was a different type of change. And I think for me to remain focused was when you are the hub of the students for the most part, where they come in here, they want some stability. I think our coaches know that if they want somebody to get something done, they're going to come to those people, and I feel like that's who I was. If it didn't matter what they needed, I was going to make that happen or try to find the answers. And I think when you create that stability around them, then it's a little bit easier when you have to get put into a position that you weren't necessarily expecting, nor were you maybe in your mind thinking you were ready for. There were a lot of challenges, to say the least, because you're walking into an area that you have never been in. Although that you're second in line, it doesn't mean you're walking the same path. I always think I'm the peacemaker many times, and I'm the one that I know the athletic directors are the ones that make that final decision, but I believe just by my learning and growth in this position is my job is to say what I think and let my boss be the one to make that final decision. At the same token, then when you get that interim AD position, you are now that one making that decision. And so it's through that I was able to rely on two of my administrative assistants underneath me, really to the assistant ADs that were there, to say to them, okay, now I need you all to speak up. And so it really did give me the ability to do that based on what I had done as an administrator for my athletic director, if that makes any sense.
It does. It makes a whole lot of sense. Now, 8 months is a long time as an interim AD. You probably had to make a ton of decisions in that position. And what I hear you saying is that the time in the chair helps you now in your current role as deputy, specifically in terms of understanding the decisions that the athletics director makes and also understanding how to package information and provide it to him so he can make informed choices that are best for the student-athlete experience and the department as a whole.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that you have to do if you get put into this situation is you have to identify what the expectations are. And it was very clear at the moment when I got the interim position that, listen, this is what we want out of you. And I took on the position right as football season was getting ready to start, so that was a challenge in itself. And we only had 2 other administrators on staff with me at the time. So certainly A&M Commerce has come a long way. We are not 2 administrators anymore. So the fact is you have to pull up your sleeves, you have to get to work, and you can't be scared of doing the little things when you're put in a position like that. Many times that's my role now, is to roll up my sleeves and to say, okay, this is what needs to be done. But now I think I have a better perspective of what my athletic director is looking for, I believe, in me. And if I choose to become an athletic director, I kind of feel like now I've got that taste that I understand that you're not always going to please everybody. Someone has to say no. And if you don't say no, you better have a good reason for why you're doing it for one team or not the other. And put everything in perspective, and learning that not everything is fair, but it has to be equitable.
Right.
And so I think through those processes of just having 8 months of going through a football season, having to go through, we had to do almost during the fall is when we do a lot of things, but just bringing back alums and knowing that. That was pretty tough at that time. So what did we have to keep? And it was mainly make sure our student athletes are happy, that they are focused, that they want to be at this place, and make sure our coaches are being fiscally responsible and that we're keeping them abreast of what's going on. And it was a tall task, I'll have to say, and we had to make some changes even at the end of that with the coaching change, but I had to make a tough decision as well to say to my president at the time, I don't know if this is the right time to make a coaching search. I'd like the new athletic director to have that opportunity, and I think that was a wise decision because it was a great hire when he brought our new coach in.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier that student athletes and coaches come and talk to you a lot. So, being in that center of influence role within the athletics department, has there been times when you've had to tell the coaches that you understand they are the leader of their particular sport, but here's where your athletes are on a particular issue or decision that you're about to make? I mean, I'd imagine that coaches and players come to you with a lot. Have you ever had to advise them against something that they were probably going to do?
I think for me, it's all about communication, and I think if you have that open line of communication with everybody, then I think you're in a good place. One of the things that I know that was very passionate for me is to create a performance team of people on staff, which my current athletic director is all for. So we went full force into it. But getting that performance team of people together to help educate our coaches on the things that the student athletes are going through, but also to learn even from my current athletic director that there has to be a lot of stewardship with our coaches as well. I mean, they need to have that professional development too. So because the student athletes come in here and speak to me, because I am in student services, I mean, there's 3 places that you hear everything, and that's going to be in academic services, in the training room, and in the weight room. You hear a lot that goes on. So, yeah, I think it's beneficial. I think that there's a trust factor you have to build with athletes, but there's also equally a trust factor you have to have with your coaches. I mean, not everything, I think Ryan Ivey taught me that there's the student athlete's perspective, the coach's perspective, and maybe somewhere in between we have to meet. That's really the perspective, and I think that's the hardest job to figure out, because you hear the story, but you also know there's probably more to that story. But yes, I think we spend a great deal of time, and I know I've had to spend a great deal of time just alerting coaches to issues and concerns, and maybe, hey, we're going down the wrong path. And that's what policy change is for, to say, hey, we care a little bit more about this. It's not just excuse the student from your program, but maybe they're going through a tough time, and and you're not really getting that information because they don't want to tell you that. So yeah, I think you have to be that conduit, and if you're not, then I think you're doing a disservice to not only your coaches, but you're doing a disservice to the student athletes as well.
Right. Well, Judy, this has been an excellent conversation. It sounds like your care for the student athletes and the student athlete experiences has helped you to be in a very influential role there at A&M Commerce, and it sounds like you're well appreciated by, I think you've been to, I guess, 2 or 3 athletics directors now. You've been through a number of coaches. Of course, you guys are successful championship here last football season, and
yeah,
it's really an honor to have you here on the One Question podcast.
I thank you very much for the time, and yeah, we were excited about what we're doing over here at A&M Commerce, and thanks again.
Yes, ma'am. That was Judy Sackfield. Judy is the Deputy Athletics Director for Student Success and Senior Woman Administrator at Texas A&M Commerce. And this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.